Orlando saw more than 13 inches of rain in just over 24 hours, breaking its two-day record by more than 3 inches. So much water there. ABC's Janae Norman on the ground in Orlando there, seeing it for herself. Janae, we spoke about an hour ago. You were there at that nursing home that's being evacuated. What's the latest on that? Are the residents all out yet?
Not yet, Gio. We are still watching as Orange County Fire Rescue is continuing to bring folks out. There's another person coming out right now. But we did just watch as a group of about a half dozen of the fire rescue team. You can still see them here by this gray pickup truck. They just lifted a boat into the back of that. So what we're going to be trying to find out as soon as we can, Gio, is whether they had to bring that boat in to rescue some of those people. Did you guys have to use that boat for the rescues? No? Okay. Not sure. Okay, we're gonna get the latest on that because we want to find out whether they had to use that boat, whether that was necessary with the water. But again, when I talked to the assistant fire chief, she told me that this nursing home, they were prepared. They had sandbags, but still at about 5 this morning had to call 911 to start getting residents evacuated because of the water that was coming down. And this was a big concern local officials had. They said two of the biggest concerns in the Orlando area were going to be the flooding and wind damage, Gio.
Yeah, and we saw right there one of the residents right behind you being carried out by the fire department. And this is what happens in the state of Florida, Janae. You've worked there and lived there before, right there in Orlando at WFTV, our affiliate there in Orlando. And you know this, that Florida, especially Central Florida, has so many nursing home residents, so many vulnerable residents. And this is what happens. They get stuck in these situations and need help. How long have they been there trying to help these residents?
Well, Gio, I want to also say Central Florida also has so many waterways, so many rivers, lakes, ponds. And so local officials, to get ahead of the storm, tried to lower the levels of those to try to prevent some of this. But you can still see it was just so much water. The assistant fire chief here told me that they got the call around 5 this morning. So what is it? It's noon now. They've been out here for about 7 hours continuing to get these folks out. But you have to remember they're limited resources because they've got them spread out so that because they're doing water rescues in other parts of Central Florida. But they're loading them up into vans and buses, driving them away, and then waiting for those vans and buses to come back. So they have just been doing this steadily for more than 6 hours at this point. I know when we talked with the assistant chief probably about an hour and a half ago at this point, she said that they'd gotten about 60 people out and still had 40 plus or so more. She expected at that time that it would be a couple more hours. And there goes that boat. We're going to be trying to figure out what that boat was here for, whether that had to be brought in for part of rescues or whether that was something that they just had on hand just in case.
Yes, so much flooding, Janae, and I know you've been witnessing that all day long and all night long as this rain just came down. Tell us, what is it that folks in Central Florida need right now the most?
You know, Gio, I would say for a lot of them at this point, it's really still they need to stay inside and be off the roads because the rain is still coming down. The wind is still blowing. We're still getting some of those strong gusts. And because there are so many parts of the area that are just flooded. We were in downtown Orlando this morning, and there is a lake there, Lake Lucerne. You said I used to work in Orlando. I used to live right by that lake. It had completely spilled over its banks and flooded part of Orange Avenue, which is a main thoroughfare through Central Orlando. So at this point, I think people just really need to still be staying home because there are still first responders out here working for any downed power lines or trees. They're trying to clear those up. It's just still going to be a bit of a mess in some parts of the area, Gio.
And Janae, we were just looking at the radar and we saw that the storm is just there to your east. Are you still feeling impacts from the storm there in Orlando?
We absolutely are, Gio. I mean, in my other ear without my IFB, the rain is just hitting against my jacket. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's coming down. The wind is blowing. And really, this area that we were showing you before, that it is not just ponding or that has happened. This neighborhood is just inundated with water. There are people who are stuck by their homes. We saw 4 kids that had to literally tread through the water that was up to their waist just to get out, and I think that they walked to go get some snacks. So that is what they're dealing with just so much rain and wind. It's still coming down. Not sure yet when it's going to let up, but they're still expecting it for much of the day.
All right, Janae Norman, thank you so much. Stay safe, my friend.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.